This video is sponsored by Craftsy.
But wait, there's more.
Check out this really cool Danish piece that I have. It's like a mini speakeasy. We've got a bookshelf on one side, but it spins around to this really cool mirrored bar. Now, this thing has clearly been through the ringer. There is no shortage of veneer chips, watermarks, splashes, gouges, dents. And with the exception of the plinth base, the entire thing is pressed wood with teak veneer over top. Now, that is very typical of Danish teak mid-century 60s, 70s furniture. It's not uncommon. But it does pose some considerations when refinishing. Not to mention she's got a bit of a funk. I gotta say, she stinks a little. But because smell-o-vision doesn't exist, you can't really take my word for it, so I'm gonna bring in the big guns. The inspector's gonna come have a look. Things were going well, the inspection was going as planned until the inspector happened to see himself in the mirror, got a little freaked out, and decided to bail. Stay tuned. My name is Angie and I refinish furniture. Sometimes I paint and sometimes I don't, but I always do what I can to save old pieces from the trash. Welcome to my workroom. It's actually pretty crazy that the entire centerpiece spins on these two dowels, and I don't really know how to remove them without taking the entire piece apart, which I don't want to do. Now the bottom is mahogany veneer. You can see along this edge here, it's a bit chipped up, but I think I'm going to remove the plinth base. It's going to allow me to refinish this part a lot easier and also clean up and seal the bottom. Now you might be wondering why I'm even bothering to refinish the bottom. It's just something I like to do. I feel like all sections of a piece should be properly sealed, and most often they're not, especially like underneath tabletops and in this case underneath this piece. I just did a super light sanding here, and I'm going to be sealing it with some Mohawk Easy Vinyl Sealer, and then I'll do probably 1 or 2 coats of lacquer. And I'm doing this before I remove the finish on the rest of the piece in case there's any little bits of overspray. It'll come right off with the finish. Areas like this I of course clean first before doing a light sanding. The bottom and the backs hardly had any finish on them at all, but the top of course does, so I'm going to be scraping it off. There's not much of a finish, but there's a finish there. Now these teak pieces can be kind of funny in terms of finish. Sometimes they have an oil finish and there's nothing to literally scrape off or strip. Sometimes they use a conversion varnish or a lacquer. I think that's what's on this one, but it's really quite thin and you can see quite easy to scrape off. Now removing some of the finish is going to remove some of the scratches, but you can still see a ton of marks where water or bits of alcohol, liquids, have discolored the veneer, so I'm going to have to deal with that. Now the veneer on the edges is pretty chipped here on the back side, so I'm just scraping really carefully. I'm going to have to use some sort of a filler there. There's not really enough to warrant trying to put in new pieces of veneer. For those of you who have been with me for a while, over the years you have seen me do all sorts of projects not necessarily related to furniture, and sometimes related to furniture. This was my first ever watercolor landscape, and I had so much fun creating it. Another fun project was replacing the rather pathetic looking window seats in the office where the cats love to hang out. Take down the clamps, create some new custom cushions, and made the cats an entire full-length window seat, which as you can see clearly went pretty well. Now I learned to do these things, the more advanced watercolor, the sewing, on Craftsy. And what Craftsy is an online resource for all things creative. So people that make things, people who bake things, and even just people that want to try something new. They teach so many things through instructional videos taught by super talented and friendly experts. I'm especially loving the woodworking section. These videos are taught by amazing names in woodworking like George von Driska and Jimmy DiResta. This class, The Fundamentals of Furniture Making by George von Driska, I'm especially interested in, and it even has downloadable resources like dimensions and cut lists. And Craftsy even has live streaming tutorials and Q&A sessions where you can connect with other makers and ask questions. If there's something you've always wanted to learn, the first 1,000 people watching this video to use the link in my description below or click the QR code on the screen will get a full year premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. And this offer is valid for new members only. Now there's no maker's mark on this, but if you look right here, you can see a Made in Denmark stamp, but I still don't know who the actual maker is. Although I did find a couple of these online. So like I mentioned, the plinth base is pretty much the only wood on this entire thing, but it's a little bit rough from being drug around for decades, so I'm going to clean it up. I'm actually going to do a light sanding inside and out. Only these front 3 pieces here actually have veneer on them, the rest is just plain pine, but we've cleaned it up a bit here. Now there are some chips here, so I'm just going to be using some Timbermate wood filler to fill those up. The color is not going to be a perfect match. You'll see once I get some finish on, it's going to look a little bit light, but that's kind of what you want so that you're able to adjust the color after the fact. If you use a filler that's too dark for the wood you're using, there's no way to really lighten it. You're kind of up the creek, as they say. But if you go a little bit lighter, you have the opportunity to shift the color once the finish is on and you know exactly what color you're looking for. Now you saw me use some Mohawk products, the Easy Vinyl Sealer and the lacquer on the 2 back panels and the bottom, but on everything else I'm wanting to use Odies Oil. Now I'm finally getting to the bottom of this enormous jar of the super duper oil. This has lasted me so long, I've done so many projects with it, and I'll probably still have some left over after this project. I love using Odies Oil on teak, but especially in this situation where you're going to be dealing with spills, Odies Oil is fantastic for protecting from that. Unlike lacquer, which will mark if you get alcohol on it, Odies isn't as affected by that. Now it has to be fully cured, and in this situation I'm going to be doing probably 2 coats on the top instead of just the usual 1. But I've used Odies Oil on our dining room table, our coffee table, not the one we have now, but the one we had previously. And you don't have to go into full-blown panic mode if you happen to spill a drop of a beer or something on the table. And for a bar like this, especially one made of mainly pressed wood, that's going to be important. So that's why I'm opting to use Odies Oil basically everywhere except the bottom and the back. So once that's complete, I'm able to put the plinth base back on so that I can flip this upright and continue working. Now I don't love plinth bases that sit flat on the floor. I don't know. I worry that they're going to get damp or ruined somehow by like mopping. I've even seen cases where you get mildew or mold growing underneath because there's no airflow. So I usually like to raise them up just slightly. Sometimes I will use just little felt pads so that it slides easy like on a hardwood floor. I'm actually going to put these plastic pieces on here while I'm working on it so that I can slide it around on my epoxy floor out here without damaging it. And then I'll figure out what I'm going to do from there. So as I'm removing the rest of the finish from the top, some movement catches my eye. And I spent about 3 minutes trying to wrangle this itty-bitty spider because he needed to be evicted. And he didn't seem to like the gloves, so I took one off thinking maybe he'd crawl on my hand, but that didn't work either. And eventually he ended up just crawling onto the scraper and I was able to take him outside that way. Thankfully it was a nice mild day, so hopefully he found a new spot. Once the finish was gone, I went in with a 180 grit sand pad to just very lightly scuff the top. This isn't going to take out all of the marks and stuff. This veneer is super thin, so you kind of have to be really conservative with your sanding. So here's where we're at after this first light sand, and you can see some pretty good scratches there. This one I'm going to maybe try to steam out a little bit. But there's also some discoloration here in the front. So I'm going to be using some oxalic acid. We're going to do the whole top and see what we're able to do. Now, compared to some of the tops you've seen me use oxalic acid on, this one's not too bad, but I still want to do what I can. Now you can see there's two little spots kind of on the right side that just don't seem to want to get wet. That's usually some sort of contamination, whether it's wax or some sort of oil droplets in the wood itself. Often there's not a whole lot you can do about that. That does happen from time to time. Now I'm using a solder iron here with a flat tip on the lowest heat setting to try to steam that dent out a little bit. It's not a scratch that's gone through the veneer, it's a compression dent. These ones tend to respond really well to steam. And once the oxalic acid had dried, been rinsed and dried again and lightly sanded, this is where we're at. So you can see in the front, there's still a little bit of discoloration, some lighter rings here. I'm not too worried about that. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And that big scratch you can see is almost gone here. There's still this little guy, but now, if you remember in the beginning, the edges of the veneer here were all chipped pretty badly, so I've just put a little bit of wood filler in there. And while I'm waiting for that to set up, I'm going to go ahead and start dealing with all this. Now, I removed the little shelf that was in front of the mirror here because I really want to take this out to clean it properly. So I just used a little bit of painter's tape just to try to give me enough grab to tip it forward and lift it out carefully. It's pretty filthy and ew, so is the back. And initially I was going to try to sand all this in place. So I started, again, just a very high grit, just a super light sanding. But I got almost to the end and I really wanted to get the underside of this and inside. So there was two little screws kind of holding it in. So I took the screws out and then just gave it a little bit of a tap and it came out, thank goodness. You can see just kind of the grossness underneath here. It's just stuff that would drive me crazy. So I was glad to get that off, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of lightly sand all this too. Now I kind of got to thinking here that I don't like how the presswood is showing here. I know this is how it was made and all of them are like this, but I feel like if I had a 3D printer, it would be really cool to make little inserts just to protect that. But I haven't measured these, so I'm not sure if that would make this too tight for like a bottle of wine or something. For now, I'm just going to make sure that I give it a light sanding and I'm going to seal it as well with some Odies oil, just to kind of help protect it from any moisture. And no, the Odies oil is not going to make the substrate swell up. Now this shelf has mahogany veneer on one side and teak veneer on the other side, but as you can see there are some pretty big issues here and it looks like someone has tried to repair this unsuccessfully a couple of times. So in order to try to fix this, I'm going to have to pull it off, try to cut off any of the old glue, add some new epoxy, clamp it down, and most likely I am still going to have this upside down like they had it with the mahogany on top, because it's going to be really hard to match this without adding new veneer, but at least this will be secure and it's not going to break if someone puts a book on it. I don't know what was on this mirror, but it took a while to get off. Obviously I'm using some ammonia-based window cleaner, but I ended up needing to use one of these little plastic scrapers to kind of scrape off around the edges, and that definitely did the trick. Just wanted to say a quick thank you to hanging out with me so far in this video. If you like this sort of thing, furniture flipping, furniture restoration, consider subscribing, and if you do subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any upcoming videos. Now at this point I still had to buff off a little bit of the Odies from the top, but once I had that finished, I was able to go in with some Mohawk graining markers and just tidy up those areas that were chipped along the edges. It's not going to be perfect, but if I can camouflage this enough to sort of fool the eye from a couple feet away, I'm happy with that. Now, if you forget what this looked like, I'm about to show you. This was pretty rough. I definitely saw the potential. I don't come across these all that often. I did a peek online and I did find several variations of this. Sometimes they are teak, sometimes they're rosewood, but either way, they're super cool and I was so happy to bring this back. As always, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the reveal. Let me know down below if this is something you would like to have in your home. And I'll see you next time.